4, 3.
So, good morning everybody, and welcome to another episode here at Bodhinyana Jhana Grove. And one of the disciples brought up the subject of anxiety, and all of us experience this particular mind state from time to time in our lives. But when anxiety starts to affect the quality of your life, it starts to cripple your ability to function and to relate to other people, then it can be quite sort of a fairly kind of sort of serious human experience that we go through. So how do we deal with so especially like long-term anxiety? Short-term anxiety, people can they can tend to deal with it on a day-to-day basis because it doesn't sustain for for long periods. But when you've got people who are affected by say anxiety for even for 1, 2, 3, 4 hours at a stretch, it's not a small thing. It's the kind of thing which can like cripple one's say personal lifestyle and one's even family relationships and connections with friends to a degree, because one just can't function to the best of one's ability. So when you look at anxiety as an experience, how does it actually feel in the mind and the body? So people, naturally people feel it on both levels, but one thing you see, especially on the emotional level, that the kind of emotions that people run with a state of anxiety is, say, like fear, apprehension, foreboding, maybe something really bad is going to happen, or they might feel threatened or intimidated in some way. And so that sense of anxiety is like a sense of something is going to go wrong on some level. And one thing I've seen over the years is, especially with younger ladies, like young women, so middle-aged ladies, that especially if the relationship with mum and dad, the family relationship with mum and dad, is not safe and secure and predictable, that male female children can get affected by this. So if the connection with mum and dad is not predictable, safe and trusting, that it leads the children to worry. They don't know what's coming up next. So for example, dad could have mental illness, or could be a drinker, or could have a potential for violence, getting incredibly angry just out of nowhere, that the kids can live in a state of apprehension and fear. And that happened actually with one of our junior monks. And so even as a practitioner later, spending probably at least a year and a half to 2 years in community, that this thing just doesn't resolve. And because it's very, very deep, the kind of conditioning you get as a child, as a young toddler, and then you've got to deal with say like a parent for years and years and years, and you have to try to find sort of coping mechanisms to deal with this person, but it doesn't, so even when you're free from that environment, the parents could even pass away. You could be away from home even 10, 20 years from the initial connection with the parents, that it sustains this kind of like worry and concern and a sense of foreboding. It continues on in the future, and even with Dharma practitioners who are supposed to be a little bit more wise, intuitive and reflective than the general population, but there's an inability to essentially to quell or settle this particular like reactive state, because anxiety needs a trigger, it needs a cause, no matter how small or innocuous. It could be incredibly little things. I was in the monastery about a month or so back, and I heard one of the young ladies screaming from the central building. I was down in the monks' bathroom. I heard this person screaming from the central building. I asked what was going on, and one of our disciples, I think a mouse had just ran out of nowhere and just went straight across her toes without warning. And I mean, I had that in the office couple of times. We had this like office mouse, incredibly smart, cunning little mouse, and used to play games like run at the monks and try to run across their toes and then sneak up behind them, and you know, would go in and out of traps multiple times. But you know, that sense of you know, that kind of emotional reactive state. You know, how come? You know, especially when you're a child, you're just subjected to that as a child, and you get years of it. You know, the child's very sensitive. And those kind of responses and emotions go very deep in the personality. And so even as an adult, middle-aged person, you just can't shake that off. And you think to yourself, well, you know, I know my parents, both my parents were mentally ill, and I'm affected by this, but I just can't work it out. And, you know, so you can have these particular individuals, particular people with this experience, and you know, they've seen a number of psychologists and therapists and psychiatrists, and this experience just will not stop. And it's a real concern because it's crippling. You know, you can't work. You know, you can't work. I mean, full time for a living. You can't sustain healthy relationships with family and friends. So you know, it's a really big deal. So, but what I tend to be a bit more simplistic in my mentality. I worked in mental health for about 2 years there, so I've got a feel. You know, I've got a feel for people and what they go through. And I don't underestimate this kind of thing. So, but what I tend to focus on is the emotional development. You know, developing one's what would you call it? Emotional wisdom. You know, so emotional wisdom, intelligence. Because you know, no matter how complicated this experience is and how many people are involved, that what is really going to set you off is your emotional framework. You know, the very strong feelings that you have, and that's going to really shake you up and disturb one. And so from my perspective, because I've seen people within the mental health fraternity, and I've seen them in counselling and with therapists and with psychiatrists for minimum 5, 10, 20 years, and this experience still will not stop. And so my kind of mentality is I don't get overly caught up in the what would you call it? So the very complicated kind of mind process and all the factors and you know, the years of abuse and the threats and all this kind of stuff. My attitude is you know, in a nutshell, is to zero in on exactly where the problem is. The feeling, the experience is largely, it's emotionally based. That's the thing which really sets us off. So if I'm someone who really suffers from strong anxiety, say for example my father was very angry, very threatening, and I just didn't know what he was going to do on a day-to-day basis, you know, and I'd be just creeping around the house, afraid to make too much noise, you know, because you'd just go bananas and you know, you just go berserk over the smallest things, and so you know, how do I've got this kind of emotional response later on in life: fear, worry, anxiety, and so that's going to be the key point. You know, if you're looking at a foundation principle to zero in on, it's one's emotional reaction. And so this is why I would put emphasis on, in a nutshell, to really focus on this in a very sharp manner, is to develop emotions, develop very strong positive emotions which will counteract that state of anxiety. And if I was in that situation myself, what I would do, I would use things like loving kindness, like really bomb yourself with very strong feelings of love, bomb yourself with very strong feelings of compassion, because you know you're suffering, and you know you are the person which needs as much kindness and compassion, you know, much kindness, love and compassion as you can basically handle. So I would focus on loving kindness mantras which are specifically formulated for oneself. May I love and care and respect myself. You know, may like on the side of compassion, may I be free from fear, anxiety, and worry. So what I'm doing is developing I'm developing this positive emotional feeling which counteracts. So say for example, I've got this strong negative response. in my day-to-day experience, what I do is I work on developing with the Brahma Viharas, the loving kindness, compassion, and I make these positive emotions that the Buddha taught us as a meditation practice. I make them stronger, 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 until they come up to the same level as that overwhelming negative experience that I have from time to time. And then you increase the power and the strength of the positive, loving, supportive emotions, and they overpower the feelings of fear, anxiety, and worry. So the loving, supportive, compassionate state of mind becomes the dominant principle, becomes the most powerful emotion in the mind. And this is something that I can see very, very easily. Any of our disciples who do loving kindness, you can pick it up. Almost every person, you can pick it up in about 60 seconds flat, no matter where they come from, if you know them or not. So, because I know for a fact, I worked in mental health, and I've seen people in the system, even up to 20 years, 25 years, in and out of psychiatric wards, on medication, this and that. But the bottom line, even as simplistic as it sounds, the bottom line is your emotional world. These negative emotions that you essentially need to balance out and overpower with these warm, loving, compassionate feelings. And so it always starts with say loving kindness. May I be such and such. May I be kind. It could be something like, say, kind, loving, and supportive of myself. You can use absolutely any words that you want, which suit your personality. And compassion is based on freedom from suffering and pain. So compassion will be, may I be free from concern, from say trauma and fear of other people. So each individual knows exactly what their experience is and the kind of emotions they want to, kind of supportive emotions they want to generate. And you do that for a minimum, say 5 minutes, and you do it continually. You do that meditation continually, silently to oneself for 5 minutes, and you do it continually to make it really firm and strong. And the best time is to do it at night before you go to sleep. I don't recommend doing this maybe so much first thing in the morning, because these meditations do make you a bit soft and sensitive, and essentially, you don't want to get shaken up too easily, with people around you. So you develop that meditation in a strong, firm way, and you do it at night. So when you sleep, you get a much more a peaceful, relaxed sleep cycle, and then when you wake up in the morning, you can start your day, and you've already got those positive emotions, those powerful positive emotions. You're getting the ball rolling. You may have only been doing it for a couple of days, but you don't underestimate those specific meditations, the loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, even equanimity. When you do these, even for 60 seconds every day, even if the average person did them only for 1 minute each day, that positivity, it goes into your mind, your personality on a surface, initially to a surface to intermediate level, and then it's, over time, if you do this for like 12 months, you do just 1 minute per day for 12 months, and even the people around you will notice, they could easily notice within weeks, they start to see a change in your kind of emotional makeup. So just that very, very short, even a 1 minute meditation, that energy will endure for 24 hours. So it's not to be underestimated, and it has the power, that meditation, with that kind of mind state that you develop, it has the power to take people to the Devaloka realm. So you have the human realm, you have six Devaloka realms above that, within the process of karma and rebirth, and that wholesome, beautiful mind has the ability to take you there, to take you to rebirth in those worlds, because that kind of mind state, you've got to be a very, very good person to be reborn in the Devaloka realms. The ability to keep good morality and and to be a kind, considerate person, and just generally to be a good quality human being. That's what it takes to be reborn in these worlds, but especially more so if you're a true Christian, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist practitioner, then the potential is even greater. And if you've got a lifelong practice, if you've been practicing for a year with this kind of format, it's virtually guaranteed. I would almost say 100%, virtually 99.9% of people would be reborn, like in those Deva, those angel worlds above the human realm. So, and one thing I also recommend as well is after that specific meditation, after you build up some peace, some stillness, some real sharp focus and mindfulness within the mind, that you actually contemplate your experience. So say for example, if I had a violent father, and I was, I'm 30 years of age, 40 years of age, and I'm still, still sort of traumatized by my father's threats and abuse, and his heavy drinking and all the rest of it. When one has got some real sharp focus, say some samadhi, that you should really reflect on one's personal experience, where it's coming from, who it's connected with, how it affects your mind, how it affects your body, and just what it's actually done to, say, the quality of your life. So you develop this all-round wisdom, all-round understanding of this difficult experience that one has, because these meditations can be very, very effective, but the other side of the coin is you've got to have a degree of insight, develop a degree of insight as well, to accelerate the process of understanding, insight, and letting go. Because even if you weren't necessarily a Buddhist or a Buddhist practitioner, or even a religious practitioner on any level, and you don't really have a feel for these kind of ideas and concepts that and teachings, that if you have incredibly strong powers of investigation, there is the potential to free yourself from these very difficult states, but it's got to be the kind of it's got to be like the kind of investigation which is really quite comprehensive. As soon as the state starts to come up, you're onto it, and you understand how you feel, how it's affecting you, and exactly the process from start to finish. That's the type of investigation which is like on the ball, and it's watching this thing, this experience as it basically snowballing you. So you try to catch it as early as possible so you don't get overwhelmed. But the loving kindness, compassion, which you can do separately or you can do it together, using those particular words, those key words. And then after the meditation, then you reflect on your life, the quality of your life, and where you find yourself at that point in time. So you get a firm basis there for developing more positive, peaceful, happy states of mind, and also the insight which will accelerate that process of what would you call it, of say like letting go and resolution. So it's probably a good point right now. I want you to experiment with this particular meditation. So it can be absolutely any heavy, intense emotional experience at all, and it can be anger, it can be jealousy, it can be irritation, it can be resentment, any really significant emotional experience that you have, which is that you're essentially just keeps lingering and has been with you for years on end. And so, say for example, it could be something like, let's see, it could be say like anger. It could be something like on the anger side, say like may I love and care for myself, and on the compassion side, be free from, say, anger and resentment. So you choose the words which are important to you, but you can combine the two, metta, compassion. So you get like the double, the double whammy. You get the both the loving positive emotions, and you get the sense of compassion in equal quantities. Because these particular, they're not to be underestimated. These particular emotional meditations, and they, you could easily see half a dozen to a dozen benefits on both sides with this kind of practice, because it can touch, many areas of your personality at least at the surface level initially. So I want you to choose a mantra. So we'll put it to the test. I want you to choose the most difficult emotional experience that you go through, and then put together a word formulation, a positive emotional formulation that you want to radiate, that positive feeling for oneself. And we'll do it for 5 minutes. I want you to do it continually for 5 minutes straight, so you can get a feel for it. We won't go over the top with this, and we'll do it for just for 5 minutes initially, and then you can get a sense for it. And then after we do the meditation, you can reflect on your mind experience. So once you've chosen the words which are important to you, we'll just get yourself in a nice, comfortable position with your back straight. It's usually good to have the legs crossed, to have the hands in the lap, because you're helping to draw energy inwards. You draw like chi inwards, physical energy inwards, and helps with the say like the focus, sharp mindfulness. So, so close your eyes, relax the body as much as possible. Back straight, head upright, and make sure you can breathe fully into the chest. And with those words, the words of your choice, I want you to just say them very, very slowly, very, very relaxed. And I'll do this meditation with you, and then I'll just add a few little things. We'll do it for 5 minutes, and then we'll do, say, like a breathing, just a peaceful breathing meditation for, say, at least 10-15 minutes. So just make a start with that emotional based meditation, and we'll keep that one rolling for 5 minutes. Okay, so what we'll do now, we'll move across to the breathing meditation. So we'll just watch the breath silently at the location of the abdomen. So as your belly rises and falls, the abdomen rises and falls, I want you to watch your breathing cycle at that point. And the reason why I focus on the abdomen is that people there's a tendency to lock say feelings up in the belly area, sometimes in the middle of the chest, sometimes the throat. But when it comes to like many different types of emotions that people go through, they tend to store it. There's something you feel in one's guts, so to speak. So just in a very relaxed way, just relax, soften the belly. And I want you to watch the abdomen completely, from top to bottom, left to right, as you breathe in and out of the body for the next 10 minutes. As this particular meditation develops, I want you to focus on all the feelings and sensations in the belly area to help sort of like loosen, relax them and release them over time. So we're coming towards the end of the meditation, so I just want you to look at your emotional state and look at your physical body and just see if you can see any, relaxation or sense of ease. So any change in the emotional state of the mind. And I'll ring the gong 3 times. You can open your eyes when you're ready. Yeah, so for all you guys who tuned in, please stay safe, stay warm, and have a wonderful day.